Hey y'all, Red Foz here. Today I got a very exciting rush for you guys that I think is entirely new to Age of Empires, and that is the Dark Age scout-based Wolf Rush, and we're about to see it in a real game. This is my account at around 2k3. I'm fighting a 2k1 player opponent right now, and this is one of the new wolf variants that they've added to the game. I think it looks a little funny. It's called the Snake. It's actually a pretty good wolf to lure for this type of rush for a lot of reasons. The main reason is that it deals a lot of poison damage. Now, I want to be very clear. This rush that you're about to see does not work with just snakes. It works with bears. It works with, gray wolves. It works with Arabian wolves. It works with jaguars, tigers, all the wolf variants in the game. This rush is going to work with them. So let's talk about, let's just observe what happens right here. So you're like, okay, you've figured out how to make a wolf chase you. I don't see how useful that's going to be because it's just going to attack you. But the crazy thing about wolf behavior is there's actually a way to de-aggro the wolf. I'm about to do it right there when I duck around the lumber camp. And if you de-aggro a wolf next to a villager, guess what? It's now attacking that villager. And you can get some kills that you wouldn't have been able to get just with your scout alone. It's basically like a free militia on the map once you learn how to do it. So let me teach you how to do this rush. Now, I just want to say before going too deep into this, I've played with this. I discovered how to do this rush like late yesterday, and I've done it like 3 times on the ladder so far. And I think it's actually quite balanced and probably should stay in the game to some capacity, maybe a little a couple tweaks around the edges. And I think it's actually perfectly fine to have something like this in the game. So let's talk about why it took me so long to figure out this rush. I've been trying to mess around with wolves for like 2 years ever since I started playing Age of Empires, and I've never figured out a Dark Age rush, other than the obvious one, which is like make a militia on Golden Pit and send it forward. That like works on Arabia. There's a lot of reasons that militia strategy doesn't work on Arabia. I'm not going to get into them in this video, but the thing that frustrated me the most when working with wolves is that they seemed like sometimes they wouldn't lure or aggress on my scouts. So let's just watch this. So this wolf, it chased me for about a second and then it stopped. So this is what's been frustrating me for like couple years that I've been on and off tinkering with wolves, is that I never figured out why this was happening. But here's a clue. Let's do the same test on a wolf over here on flat ground, on like the base elevation of the game. You can see now it's chasing me. I'm actually gonna de-aggress this wolf really fast, and then go back to talking over here. So I knew it had something to do with elevation, but what was the problem with elevation? Well, quickly after a lot of tests, I realized that it only has to do with the elevation that your scout is standing on. So this is called elevation 1. It's the base elevation of all Arabia maps, and then this is like 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Hills basically. So your scout's feet need to be on elevation 1 when the wolf is out of its attack animation for it to chase you. So it's going to do an attack animation. That's going to take about a half second. And then at the end of that half second, your feet better be on elevation 1 if you want it to chase. So I'm going to aggress this wolf knowing that fact. So my feet got down to elevation 1 by the time the attack animation was done. And that means that this wolf will chase me. Now again, I'm going to de-aggro this guy. We're going to talk about de-aggression in a bit. But what do you do if there's a wolf really high up on the hill? Well, that's not ideal, but you can still have this wolf aggress onto you if you just kind of bring it down. So I had to take 1 extra hit. Each of these hits costs 4 health, which honestly isn't that much health for the starting scout. And then it will aggro down to it will allow my feet to get down to the elevation I need to by the time its attack animation is done. So that's how you aggress scouts or wolves. Now let's talk about how you de-aggress wolves. So I'm gonna do this. I'll do it with one of these wolves. These are honestly a fairly good wolf to do it with. So I got this wolf chasing me, and that's fine and good. But how do I actually do the rush where I kill a villager? So to do that, you need to know how wolf de-aggression works. Imagine a line being drawn, line of sight, or just a line being drawn between this wolf and the scout at every second of the game. It's continuously updating and following this scout. If that line, if there's ever any obstacle in between that the wolf and the scout, the wolf will stop chasing me. For example, I tucked in right here, and for a second there was a tree in between the wolf and me, and that means that the wolf will break its aggression. It doesn't matter the range. If you're curious, wolves have about 12 line of sight. So this wolf, if we were watching Gaia's vision, this wolf can actually see like all the way out to there. It's not a line of sight issue when this is happening. It's that invisible line that we need to imagine between the wolf and us. So if I want to attack this villager, there's a couple ways I could do it, but the easiest way would be to break the wolf on some terrain and then have it de-aggress right next to the villager. And then of course, if a wolf is de-aggroed next to a villager, it will attack that villager because that's the wolf's behavior. So that's the basic principle of the rush. You aggress a wolf and then you break the aggression on something. Now there's other ways to break the aggression. For example, I'll do it, I'll just point out that units like chickens or wolves, these do not break aggression. So you'll see that the wolf phases through these guys magically. And there's some chickens down here. Now chickens, this is where it gets more interesting. Chickens actually move, unlike most wolves in the game. Only the snake is the only one that moves naturally. And moving objects actually do break aggression. So if I scare this chicken and then the wolf, or if the wolf scares the chicken and the wolf runs through that space, he will de-aggro. So that's the other way that we can have wolves break their aggression, is we can move them through or have them try to pass through a moving unit. Now this seems not terribly useful until you realize villagers, when they hit, often move. So if I wanted to try to aggress on here, I could have, there we go. So this villager moved ever so slightly when she attacked, and because of that, the wolf, aggressed onto her. So just know that villagers that are swinging count as like moving or things that they can aggress on. So there, I didn't actually break the aggression on the lumber camp. I broke it on the villager when she started swinging on me. So that's another way that we can have the aggression go off. There's a third way, and this one honestly is pretty arcane. But I'll show it to you anyway. It's sometimes useful, it's actually useful more not as a tool to have it attack a villager, but like something you have to be aware of. If this guy attacks me while my feet are not on elevation 1, for example, there, then he will lose his aggression. Again, the same way that we aggress the wolves, by the time their attack animation's done, our feet need to be on elevation 1. That's true for the entirety of the time that you're luring the wolf. So again, if I let this wolf attack me and I'm on a higher elevation, it will lose its aggression. That can actually sometimes be useful if there's some elevation around the base to, break the aggression on yourself just by being on elevation, and then it would attack a villager. So yeah, those are probably all the things you need to know about wolf rushing. The last thing that you're going to need to know, I'm not going to cover in this video, but is how to have a really effective scouting pattern. I believe the most optimal way to play this would be purely on chicken maps. On deer maps, I think it's too good I don't think it's worth it to try to go for this because deer pushing is really good. But on chicken maps, our scout actually doesn't really have a job to do other than scouting. So if you're really fast at scouting your base, and also you choose one of the scouting patterns that I'm going to show in the description of this video, you can actually find wolves pretty consistently, just like with your starting, sheep and scout. And then on a chicken map, I think it would be wise to go for, a wolf rush, if you would call it. So let's just try wolf rush. This is probably the most generic one, I'd say, breaking on the lumber camp. So I'm going to try to break on this lumber camp, get really close to it, and then tuck around it. And that's a classic way to break on a lumber camp. Tuck in, and then duck away, duck around the corner. So I'll do that again with this Arabian wolf. This one's going to be really easy. Although the counterintuitive thing is I think that this one, if I tuck around this corner, it's going to aggress. It aggresses on the closest villager, which I actually think will be this villager. Remember, we got to be really careful moving around obstructions, because they're kind of like mines. You got to avoid them. So here I'll tuck around. Yeah, and just what I thought. Just like that. We got the wolf rush going on. So yeah, that's the basic wolf rush. That's how to do it. Anyway, I actually think this is probably pretty balanced. I've tried it again a couple times and it's failed miserably. I've tried it on deer maps, which is definitely not a smart thing to do, and it didn't feel like it put me in a good scenario. And also it's kind of quite hard to find wolves on Arabia these days. Anyway, I honestly hope this doesn't break the game. I don't actually expect it to, and I hope this is kind of a fun, weird element that's thrown into the early Dark Age. Anyway, see you guys later. Red Falls out.